Charred buildings, rubble, ashes. This is what's left after a monster wildfire ripped through Jasper this week, destroying 1/3 of the buildings, mostly homes. Officials say 358 structures in a town of 1,113 have been destroyed by walls of flame 100 meters high, pushed by winds 125 kilometers an hour.
The pain that will be felt almost defies description. It is beyond comprehension.
Critical infrastructure like the hospital, schools, and wastewater treatment plants have been spared. But the fire is still not under control, covering an estimated 36,000 hectares. So the evacuation order is still in place. Everyone cautions re-entry will be slow.
Power and gas do remain shut off at the town site, and in the coming days, ATCO is going to work to restore power and gas. They have to do this building by building to make sure that it is safe.
There are questions about whether the community was prepared, whether the forest had been properly managed, whether this was a disaster waiting to happen. Officials rejected that.
The preparation that has been done here has actually been first class.
We live in a forested mountain community. Most of us live there by choice. We love that environment. It is our home and our recreation, and we want to be in the mountains, we want to be in nature, and that means our community is exposed to the threat of wildfire.
As for the mayor, the tour included his home, now leveled. Even so, he would never live anywhere else.
So many others are going to go through the same thing.
Such a powerful moment, the mayor finally seeing what's left of his house, and we want to play a little more of that.
We moved in time for my second birthday. I was telling the minister, I think somewhere in there is a photograph of me with a birthday cake and sitting on packing boxes when I was 2. And now it's memories of family and fun.
That is the mayor of Jasper talking about seeing most of his house left in ruins.
You know, you were here when he just spoke to us at the corner, and he talked about how he lived in that house since he was 2 years old. He was struck by the fact that his garage was still standing with the bike still inside, and he expressed some hope that he'd be able to ride them again on the trails around here. The premier pointed out that his house was the only one burned on his block, which just shows the path and the wrath of that fire. And Ian, you know, he talked about how other people will be experiencing this soon. The RCMP told us this afternoon that they did a walkthrough. They knocked on every door of every house in Jasper the other day, and at first there were 41 people still in their houses. By the end of the day, only one elderly couple remained, and they couldn't leave on their own because of mobility and those kinds of challenges. So it took 2 officers 30 minutes to get them out safely, and shortly after, their house burned down.
And the headline remains, as far as we know, everybody got out safely. That is incredible. Karen, thank you so much. The evacuation from Jasper clearly did save lives, but those who fled are now confronting an uncertain future. And as Kyle Bax shows us, that is taking a toll.
Jamie Breeze is struggling to cope. She's lived in Jasper, Alberta, her whole life.
This is the first time all day I haven't been crying. I'm completely rattled. I can't sleep. I haven't eaten since leaving my home.
She was among the roughly 25,000 residents and tourists who fled late Monday. Officials say that monster wildfire destroyed about 360 buildings, which could include her house that she saved up for many years to buy.
I don't know. I saw a map today and I saw a video online, and my whole neighborhood is demolished. It looks like an apocalypse, and I'm waiting for an update on my own personal home.
For now, she's staying with a friend in the tiny community of Valemount, grateful knowing others are sleeping in cars and trucks. The nearby evacuation center provides breakfast, lunch, and dinner for evacuees, at least 60 people at every meal. much needed mental health services are offered too.
Just to take a breath and have a few minutes to assess what's going on and to have that reassurance that, you know what, it might look bad, but it's going to be okay.
Evacuees are scattered throughout BC and Alberta, often bleary-eyed from sleepless nights and long hours on the road.
It's a nightmare, but we can do nothing about it.
I'm just expecting the worst when I go back there so I don't suffer more.
They're safe but stressed out, surviving but unsure what comes next.
I want to go home so bad, so bad. I want to go home and start rebuilding and helping everyone rebuild.
Evacuation centers like this one in Calgary will be closing down over the next few days, but the province is speeding up payments to evacuees. People can apply at evacuationpayment.alberta.ca. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary. The Red Cross is also collecting financial donations to help people who have been affected by the Jasper wildfire and other wildfires burning in Alberta. And the governments of Alberta and Canada say they will be matching individual donations. Those can be made at redcross.ca. Many evacuees also run businesses in Jasper, but it could take months or even years for some to reopen. And as Anis Hidari shows us, livelihoods are on the line.
A lot has been destroyed in Jasper, from homes to businesses.
We're assuming everything's gone, so that means all our trucks, trailers, the other rafts, we had probably 15 rafts, they're all gone.
Before the fire, Katrina Turcotte's company ran scenic rafting trips. Now her family has to start all over again.
We're new business owners. We only took over 2 years ago. So we have a lot of loans. I don't know how we're going to pay them. The business side of this is insanely stressful for us.
Other businesses hope they aren't physically wiped out.
I don't know if there's been any kind of like smoke damage or environmental damage or water damage. We don't know.
There are worries about the future too.
Once the evacuation order is lifted, does my insurance continue to cover me, or do we have to get back to work? But it's not going to be the same. I mean, September and October are massive for the tourism industry.
Jasper's mayor says it's a long road ahead.
And the rebuild could take years.
But it's too early to know exactly what's needed and what it will cost.
I would estimate that we are going to be in the hundreds of millions. I'm optimistic that it is not going to be the same devastation that we've seen in Fort McMurray or Slave Lake.
Though it's also impossible to compare to previous wildfires because Jasper is unique.
It's priceless. You cannot wrap your head around both the immediate consequences in terms of the impacts to the natural environment, but also to the people that have happened in the town.
Impacts businesses are already feeling.
I've just started digging in and calling insurance and making the phone calls we have to make. But unless you've been through this, you have no idea where to even start with this. It's insanely overwhelming.
A heavy burden on business owners who can't go home yet. Anis Hidari, CBC News, Calgary.